Welcome back to Mythic Playoffs here at FOF Esports, everybody. Ace versus OOD game number 2. After a bloody game 1, where after objectives were even and back and forth team fights occurring, Ace was able to squeeze out the first win of the series. This time around, OOD are taking the blue side, where Ace will be taking red. A-Click showing us that they came here to play. I'm excited to see what comes out of this game. Once again, my name is Whirler, and alongside me is Asem. How you doing, buddy?
I don't know how I feel after the first game, but we already got some interesting adaptations coming out for this one. I don't know really why they're opting for this, but Ace has chosen to ban Tristana from Photograph and leave the Vladimir up once again. I thought the Vladimir was the scariest thing from Udyr in the first game, so I'm surprised leaving it up again, but they hovered it and didn't pick it on the first pick here. We'll see if they pick it up later in the draft once again. The Volley Bears are coming back, making a return though, and I like this from Ace. I'm a big fan of Fiddlesticks. I think this champ is super good right now. I think they know the Volley Bears going jungle, so they don't mind picking it up this early, and we'll have to see how good Sora Blue is on it, because we haven't really seen him on this kind of stuff so far.
Definitely a spicy pick. Haven't seen too much Fiddlesticks recently. I like seeing it, though. It seems pretty fun, in all honesty. Regardless of the competitive integrity around everything, it's a fun pick. And Corki looks like it's going to be making a return again. Vambient showing true potential on that pick. They want to run it back, it looks like. Are they going to lock it in, though? We have no idea. It's going to be 7 seconds on that to figure out the answer.
I hope they don't, but they probably will. Yep.
What are your thoughts on the Corki pick?
I mean, last game was okay. I don't think it was like the worst thing in the world, but I don't know. I feel like there are definitely better choices if you're in a blind mid. And aside from that, I feel like the Vladimir is still getting more value than the Corki in the late game, even though the Corki was very impactful. The Vladimir is essentially given a free lane, allowed to scale up, which was probably the only reason Ace was even close to losing that game. So we'll see if they can exploit it again, to kind of allowing mid lane to scale again, or if they can just try to actually beat him in the early game rather than just letting the lane go even. They picked up Cog Lulu though, which, I mean, Photograph and Antunes have played this a decent amount. We saw them play it in a regular season game, which they completely ran over. We'll see if Ace has an answer to it, because I think bot lane, nominally the stuff that Ace plays bot lane should be good into it, and I'd like to see them pick up like Ezreal Karma here. On the other hand, they've just chosen to pick up the Wukong for topside blind. Ace's draft makes no sense to me. I don't understand why they're picking in this order or why they're picking the champions they have. I think they're just basically ego here at this point, and Udyr is going to see if they can punish them.
Definitely so. Wukong coming out. Definitely, I would say it's not a unusual pick for burst limit. No. With Vladimir being banned out though, they're throwing Big Twig in the ring on this one, trying to see what he can bring out to respond to the Corki this time around. Being how the Vladimir, I feel like, was a pretty good answer, but they kind of went even at the end of the day.
Yeah, so I think the better champions that Big Twigs looks best on are really the Sylas and the Seraphine, so we'll see what he opts for in this game. With the Cog Lulu, Seraphine's really good, obviously, but also Sylas gets quite a bit of value in this game with the Fiddlesticks ult and the Wukong ult, so I don't mind seeing that come out either into the Corki. It's not that bad. We'll end up seeing what they ban on this last ban here. I'd like to see the Ezreal be banned out, because I think it's one of the only champions left up that we expect from Associate Sam that's really going to make it difficult for them to play the game, and we do see it banned out, so this is good from Udyr. They recognize the lanes that can be losing for Kog'Maw Lulu. They banned up the 10 on first rotation and the Ezreal Varus on the last rotation. And Ace now has to come up with an answer here, because if they don't punish bot lane here, I think it gets very difficult for them if Cog Lulu is allowed to scale into the game.
Definitely agree with that one. First pick coming out from Ace on the second round pick. It looks like So Sad Sam with the tried and true Callista coming out. That's an interesting one if you ask me.
So speaking of Season 1, I really like Callista. It's one of my favorite champions. I think like Season 1, it was unfortunately very limited opportunities to play it, but it's a very aggressive champion. You can really punish a lot of lanes with it. And it's into Cog Lulu, which is nominally a pretty good situation to be in as Callista. You can really look for those early picks onto Kog'Maw, but the problem is, A, Callista's really bad right now. She's in a really, really bad spot, and unless you're like the best Callista players in the world, like then it just becomes so difficult to play her. B is she get outranged super hard by Kog'Maw Lulu. Kog'Maw should just be able to Halo Blade 3 auto her with W every time she walks up to the wave, similar to when the Kaiser is Xayah lane. And there's little she can do about it other than forcing engages every single time she wants to farm. So she's going to need a support that can enable that. The Nautilus definitely can, but I don't know. I just don't feel like Callista's good enough to actually punish this lane. And with the Karma and the Seraphim being picked up, this Kog'Maw is going to have so much safety, as well as the Volibear for frontline. I think Udyr's draft all the way in this game.
Udyr's draft in the classic Protect the Kog'Maw comp with a Karma top, Seraphine mid, Kog Lulu bot with a Volibear in the jungle. That's an interesting one if you ask me. I feel like this is the first time in the tournament someone has drafted this specific Protect the Kog'Maw comp.
So I think Udyr actually drafted an almost identical composition towards the end of the regular season, and it was one of the things that resulted in Kog'Maw being banned against them in a lot of games throughout the rest of the regular season. But it definitely hasn't come out since then, partially because it's been being kind of focused out so they can't pick it, and partially because I think Udyr's been drafting for other stuff once Jingo is in the roster. But with Bob Jones back in the top lane, I think they definitely want to look to play through bot, and Photograph on the Kog'Maw is definitely a really scary prospect for Ace's comp. Nautilus, Wukong, and Kalista all have a really difficult time playing against this champion, and while Corki can match some of the range, I think with all the shielding and the buffing coming up from the Seraphine, the Karma, and the Lulu, he's just not going to do enough. So unless Photograph is set pretty far behind in this early game, it becomes so difficult for Ace to play the game in those later game team fights.
Alrighty, I would have to agree. I want to give this one to Team Udyr. They're taking the L on the first game, and they're coming back strong, and they want to win. And we are here on the Rift. We are at a 5-point, no sort of invades coming this time around, and burst limit. And Bob Jones standing off on the top lane once again. A bloody top lane in the first game. Don't know how it's going to go in the second one around. Don't know why Karma opted to pick up the Spell Thieves.
I was about to mention that. So there's a strategy from ages past. I don't know if you remember this, where you used to be able to take like top lane mages or top lane support and some enchanters and go support item on them and just not farm.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, Riot has taken that away by making the Spell Thieves only work if you have an ally next to you.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what he's thinking here. Maybe he's just going for the passive gold income and hoping that'll be enough. There might be some world this is a thing. I just am not up to date on it, but my guess is that this is a misbuy from Bob Jones and that he can't sell it at this point because it would be losing too much gold value. And they are also going to get the invade on red, so hopefully Soximus is able to recognize this and split the map towards topside, but
they are going to walk on that ward.
Splitting the map is exactly what they want here.
Yes, it is. Keeping Volibear far away from So Sad Sam and Vesper in this situation is very good for them as they are starting
I don't know why they've opted for
level 1 trade. Vesper, yes, he is indeed. So Sad Sam looks like he's going to get a trade kill, though. The shield's going to go down one more. It's going to be a trade 1-for-1 in the bot lane. So Sad Sam forced to flush out of that one.
That is never worth, though. Giving first blood to the Kog'Maw?
That is a very questionable start to this game. Kalista has also not used her Black Spirit quite yet.
Yeah, so this is actually pretty common from Kalista these days, is you don't end up leveling your W anyways, so it's better to not actually attach your Black Spear until you hit 6 off your first reset before then, because pre-6, if you don't have your ultimate, it doesn't give you anything. And in that case, it actually shows the tether to where your support is in the lane when you're in the lane, which makes it difficult for your support to camp a bush or to hide off vision. So in this lane, they want the Nautilus to be able to walk up into the bushes and be able to threaten for the hooks and not know which bush he's in, so they don't want to actually show the tether.
So Sad Sam starting the lane off with a CS lead, being that they killed the Lulu, or not the Lulu, the Kog'Maw level 1. Karma getting some good damage on the burst limit. Burst limit taking the back half of this trade after game 1, dominating Bob Jones.
Bob Jones actually being valued as a support item here. He's hitting the tower, so he's getting that gold from the support item passive. And
is he actually? I don't see any plus 10s.
It looks like he's getting some. I think it's reduced, but he is getting something.
Oh, interesting. I got to see how that one works. So Sad Sam getting some more damage on the Antunes. Not too much going on elsewhere. We did indeed split the map on jungles. And Sword Blue is right behind Antunes and Photograph. Ooh, good hook from the Nautilus. Is going to one-shot Lulu after that one. Vesper going to go down to the tower, unfortunately. Photograph's going to pick up another kill to return that one. And it's still even on the 8 carries. Kalista picking up a shutdown as well as Kog'Maw. We got Gank in the mid lane. Soximus pressuring Vambient away, forcing the Valkyrie out, and that's going to be enough for him to get away. Bob Jones still pushing up in the top lane.
So nominally, you want to split the map here as Sword Blue because you want to be able to play towards bot side, because Fiddlesticks with the Kalista lane is going to deal with a lot of kill pressure on the Kog'Maw Lulu, even under the tower on that kind of dive. But because they end up trading kills with the Kog'Maw, it just becomes so bad for them. I mean, ultimately, Kog'Maw ends up living there, which means you can keep farming the wave. They only lose the CS XP difference on the Lulu, which isn't that impactful. And Kog'Maw is now actually ahead, even though he shouldn't be, despite all the pressure being put his way on the bot side of the map.
After the first part of the way, or after the first part of the game is already done and out of the way, Karma is selling the Spell Thieves
Yeah,
and
surely a
buying
mistake.
a Dark Seal. That, well, there goes a little bit of that gold.
Well,
Definitely worth it though,
unfortunately,
because the more you farm, the less gold you get from minions. So it had to be done eventually.
yeah, okay, so I will say I have seen games go okay with this happening. As someone who plays a decent amount of Senna, there's definitely instances where your support will buy a support item and then they'll end up selling on the first back, realizing you're supposed to be farming. And you get some value out of it early on, but it's not enough to really nullify the fact you have to sell it. But I think Bob Jones should be fine, honestly. It's karma. He'll skill regardless with this
Sword
gold
Blue in the bot
value.
lane. Good hook on the Antunes. This is going to start up a fight here as a TP's coming out here from Karma. And Big Twig's coming in on the behind. So Sad Sam, no flash to get out of this one. He's going to go down to Karma, getting a quick shutdown for himself. Vesper quickly following behind. And Sword Blue and Burst Limit forcing to get down, or Burst Limit forcing the TP down there, and Sword Blue running for the hills. This is going to be a Cloud Dragon as 5 members of Udyr are ready for it.
And Vambian getting punished for taking the Ignite in this lane. Once again, taking Ignite in a lane where he shouldn't have kill pressure, and he has no TP to match Big Twig, so it ends up being basically a 5v4 on the bottom side of the map in the bot lane, and Udyr just get a huge advantage off it. Again, this Kog'Maw is continuing to snowball, and he should be getting himself set behind.
Oh
Udyr should have to take him
no.
behind here.
Wait, Corky Valkyring in, thinking he can kill Bob Joan. Bob Joan going to flash out of that one, taken very low. The ulti is going to be enough to pick him up, but Vambian's going to go down to Big Twig 1v1. One more auto is all it takes, and he's going to go down.
Okay, so we got some value out of Ignite, but that's absolutely not worth. And Udyr are so far ahead in this game now that even though it's only an 800 gold lead, considering the compositions and where that gold is concentrated onto the Kog'Maw and the Seraphine, I think it's so difficult for Ace to even find a way back into this game, even though it doesn't really look like there's much going on. They're going to have to look for these huge fiddlesticks ult in the team fights, but even then, Sword Blue's opted for the Electrocute rather than the Predator, which I really don't like. It makes it a lot harder for him to get these early ganks off, and in the team fights, it also means he's going to have a lot harder time getting into good positions if Udyr able to set up vision, which they should be able to with the advantages they secured in the bottom and mid lanes.
Definitely so. This is looking pretty good for the Protect the Kog'Maw comp. Already starting off 2-1, even in CS now that he is no longer behind So Sad Sam after the death. It's pretty good for him so far. He'll come online pretty quickly in this game, and that's really good if you want to see Kog'Maw shine.
Yeah, and so said Sam's going to have a really hard time in this lane now because he is going to get this issue of having being outranged and outdamaged with the nuclear being picked up on the Kog'Maw unless he's able to get the all in.
Ooh, good route from Seraphine's going to start that trade off, but a Sheen trade from Corky is going to make it in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, you really just don't want to be trading into the Corky right now, Seraphine, but it ends up being roughly okay for Big Twig. He's not going to get dove or anything. He should be able to pick up the wave, and Vambi doesn't have that much damage yet, so
Ooh,
he just wants to scale
Soximus
up
is
and try
behind, though.
evading.
No flash from Vambiant. He's going to go down almost immediately. Both ultis being expended for his death. That's going to be Vambiant giving up a kill, and it's going to go to Volibear's pocket.
Yeah, and Seraphine ult is a pretty crazy ability, but they end up being able to change into the Volibear ult to cure that massive damage on the come down on the Volibear. And I mean, Vambiant really can't do anything about that. Even if he Valkyries, he's not going to get out of the Seraphine ult unless he's able to go up. And if he goes up, he's going into Volibear.
Definitely so. Up in the top lane, Karma keeping up pretty well with the Wukong so far, even in CS. A kill and a couple assists up, though. That's pretty good for Karma.
Yeah, and the plate going over in the mid lane to the Seraphine. So you've got pretty much every lane ahead for Udyr here, as well as jungle. And yeah, I mean, it's so difficult now for Ace to find a way back in here. It needs to be an engage from Sword Blue, but he's still farming. He's just now hitting 6, and this is maybe a window for him, but all these lanes are trying to reset. He has nowhere to look. Maybe he can look on a bot lane dive, but even that doesn't really look super good for him because Lulu's also going to be hitting 6 very soon, and once she gets the wild growth, it becomes very difficult to burst the Kog'Maw.
Definitely so. Fiddlesticks coming in for a nice little gank. He's got to be a little sneaky, though. He's got to be a little sneaky, though, as the wave is pushing up on them.
Antunes is still not 6, so this is the window for him. If Antunes doesn't hit 6 here, it becomes very difficult, but Photograph respected it.
Nautilus did miss the hook on that one. Soximus is here to respond. Ward not catching him just yet, but an ulti coming out. That's going to be Lulu, feared in silence. He's going to have to flash out. I don't think he's going to get out alive, though. The Rand's going to pull him back. What the turn is going to put Vesper 6 feet under. Sword Blue running for his life. He does have the flash, but they're going to be turning this for themselves. Soximus has a couple of Ren stacks in them. It's not going to be enough to pull back, though. And they are going to call that off there. Burst limit up in the top lane, engaging right on the Karma. The W is going to root him up. Double Cyclone, that's going to be the wasted ult there. And Big Twig under tower, the Ignite's still ticking. Good timing on the Zanyas, and that's going to be another plate And a kill going on.
Ambient shouldn't have taken that turret shot. Now he's probably going to die to Soximus.
Definitely so. More turret shots
What is he
galore to
doing?
make it even easier for the Volibear to secure it up.
He like
Making
walked
it
back
quick.
into turret twice there.
See, now there's some hidden tech behind that. He realized he was dead, and so he's just going to speed up the time it takes to get back to lane.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think Ambient definitely outplayed him there. On the other side of the map, I think that like Bob Joan, honestly not dying to Wukong, just like pretty easy for him. He didn't look like he had to really do much. He doesn't have to expend anything. He still holds both of his Flash and TP coming up very soon, and his Grasp is going to keep him pretty healthy. So, I mean, Karma's allowed to do basically whatever she wants in this game. Wukong should never have kill pressure on her unless she really messes up. And again, the value you get from Karma coming into this game, she has the Dark Seal. Actually has a stack on it already. As well as just being able to get those huge shields on people in these team fights makes it so difficult to burst anyone. And Photograph didn't die in that bot lane engage, crucially. They actually ended up trading onto Antunes, so it ended up being both supports lives traded. But Kog'Maw surviving, still keeping his bounty, and he is now ahead of Sosad Sam quite a substantial margin. I imagine he's close to his Mythic at some point on the next reset, but with Antunes hitting 6, they should have no pressure on him for the kill in the bot lane, and he's going to be super scary.
Definitely so. Unfortunately, Vesper, after every fight that's happened in the bottom lane, he's had to give up his life for it. He's looking pretty behind over here on the Nautilus. Has completed the part 1 of the support item, though. So it isn't too far behind the Lulu. But Lulu and Kog'Maw in this bot lane, they're doing pretty well for themselves. Up in the top lane, Karma still extending the lead she has. Not extending it, but still hasn't gone away yet. Good trade on a burst limit, going to take him down to half.
Yeah, Karma top is super annoying. It's a really abusive lane for most melee tops, and you can see the burst limit's just getting pressured out pretty hard. He can't actually do anything, though. He's never going to be able to engage for the kill, and he's going to keep getting poked out, regenning up, and he's probably not going to get killed or anything, but Bob Jones perfectly happy to keep doing this, keep chipping away at the turret, and honestly, like, the support item mess up didn't actually impact anything. He's probably going to be quite a ways ahead of gold regardless.
Vambia in the top lane, he's going to find Bob Jones, and he's going to Valkyrie onto him. He's taken to about half, misses the big rocket. Not going to be enough to get a kill, though. He's going to hit the plant. He's going to get back up. And Volibear coming in for the gank. A TP following as well. A couple TPs as well. It's going to be the wild growth from Lulu to give Volibear even more HP. And we got ourselves another fight over here. Vambian not able to respond to this one, but Sosad Sam is taking this one by storm with a double kill so far. A bunch of damage from the true damage on the Acathian Surprise. A charm from Big Twig going to bring Vesper closer in. Sosad Sam's taking a stroll into Death's lane. And it's going to be a re-engage from Udyr. Looked so good for Ace. Looked so good for Ace. But it was not enough. They turned it on its head and made it in their favor. They get to push this. Infernal Dragon, unfortunately, does not look like it's going to be contested at all. Vambiance, no TP.
Okay.
No TP, no plate. Nothing off that trade just yet. Is gonna have to get out of that one. So
he's
close.
In trouble here. Photograph actually kind of has kill pressure if he turns it all, but I don't think he's gonna be able to. And unfortunately, they don't find it. But oh boy, Soximus could find him.
Oh yes, Soximus is going in on this one. Vambiant giving another one to the bear. 4-1. He is absolutely livid. He is
again,
in
if he
this
didn't
game.
tank like 3 turret shots for no reason when he was pushing to the plate, he would have been fine. I don't know what Vambiant's thinking. He's just like randomly tanking turret and dying for it.
Definitely so. Kog'Maw getting engaged on, getting exhausted in return, taking a bunch of damage on the backside. Big Twig, no ulti here, but Vesper is rooted. He's going to be going down again. Spider-Man's not going to be enough. Soximus is going to take that one to the bank, and they're going to get some tower damage on here and at least an Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, we didn't really get a chance to talk about the bot lane fight, but it really should have been more heavily in your favor. Big Twig only managed to get the ult on the Nautilus. If he had gotten a multi-man ult, then that should have been a sweep for them, and even with them basically missing the Seraphine ult on most of the crucial members, they just do so well in these fights. You can see how difficult it is for Ace.
So sad Sam is so sad alone in the bot lane, and he's gonna get punished for that one. Soximus taking low, but he's not gonna go down. Photograph's gonna pick up a freebie.
This is why people have been banning out the Kog Lulu against Photograph, and in general trying to prevent Udyr from playing this style, because when they get this, it's looked pretty one-sided every time I've seen them play it.
Oh my goodness, Bob Jones taking low. He's not going to go down. Minion's going to block the last rocket. That was close, and that's going to be Antunes, Photograph, Big Twig, and Soximus picking up a Fire Drake.
So there's a couple things happening now. Is in addition to the top lane surviving, they pick up the Infernal. That's the first 2 dragons secured on this comp that's going to outscale super, super hard, which means they're under pressure to fight for the soul, but they also have no win condition themselves because they can't pressure soul. And if Udyr chooses to, they can just not fight for the next 10 minutes, basically, and just continue to scale on this Cog Lulu, and they'll be totally fine with it because there's no pressure of the Ocean Soul coming out from Ace until, 15, 20 minutes from now.
Definitely so. Not looking too good for Team A-Click here on the back half of game number 2. Callista, despite all the deaths, is doing decently well for herself. A little bit ahead of Photograph and Gold. Just a little bit, though.
It just doesn't matter though. Callista's so useless. This champion is. I mean, I like the champion so much, and I really want her to be good, but she's just not. I don't understand why you pick her here, and especially into the Cog Lulu. I know it's an aggressive enough lane you can look to kill the Kog'Maw early, but you get outscaled so hard, you're outranged, so it becomes very difficult to punish if your Kog'Maw doesn't get hit by a hook or something. And even when you're ahead, you feel like you're behind because you don't actually do that much damage unless you get a full burst rotation in with a triple rend and your support having enough CC to keep them in place for the full combo. So, like, I like the idea, but it's just the champ's not good enough.
They will be taking the first turret of the game, though. That's a lot of gold going over into their pocket. No platings, so it's not as much as it could be, but you still take it. First tower, extra gold. They're only behind about 1,000. So it's not all for naught. It's definitely they're still in this game for now, but they're on a timer with this scaling comp that Team Leader have drafted.
They're down 1,000 gold, but they're also the early game comp, right? They should be the ones who need to be ahead. So when you're behind in this position, you're actually so far behind. I know it doesn't look like it necessarily until you really see these team fights, but it should be basically impossible for them to win.
Flash ulti from Volibear to start this engage. Wild Growth to synergize with it. Vesper going to be Zanya's out from the Callista. Oh, he's going to get out alive. Sword Blue running for his life. And he's going to make it out alive as well. Vambient off to the side. Oh, Sword Blue with the re-engage from the ulti is going to pick up Antunes on that one. Very well played from the Fiddlesticks to sort of turn that into their favor. Bob Jones going to get a root onto Vambient.
Oh,
Vambient's looking like he's going to go down here, but Photograph's going to get hooked up by an Nautilus, ultied into it, and he's going to get comboed down. Bob Jones and Big Twig are the only ones left. So Sad Sam getting exhausted. They're going to bump out of that trade. And good Lord, that was almost bad for both teams, in all honesty. Went even 2 for 2. Wow, what a good re-engage by Swordblue.
I don't know who it was, but somebody messed up there. It was either Soximus or Antunes, but somehow Antunes ended up taking turret aggro on the walk back out through the T1, and that was what actually allowed Swordblue to kill him there. Otherwise, that re-engage shouldn't have amounted to anything, but Antunes was basically just dying to turret there, and he ends up taking the last tick from Swordblue for no reason. If Soximus tanks the turret on the way out, then they should have no threat of dying, but yeah, unfortunate, just kind of probably miscommunication from OOD results, and basically an even trade, and it's not great for them. They end up losing their gold lead because of the shutdowns they're given over. But at the same time, like, it doesn't really matter unless Fiddlesticks is able to continue getting those kind of ults off. Even that wasn't an insane ult, but like if he gets if multi-man ults off now, it could be a lot scarier for them. But I still expect they're in pretty good position.
He's almost at that first item power spike, and that's a pretty scary one for Fiddlesticks getting that Mythic. And there it is, Proto Bell for even more gap closing fun with the ultimate.
The thing is, Fiddlesticks has to carry this game. No one else in this team can actually do it because he's the only one who can really reliably just blow them up because they're so able to peel for the Kog'Maw. If they try to go on the front line with the Callista or with Nautilus, it needs to be that massive multi-man fear, getting them all caught up there, and I'm not sure they can find it at a consistent rate. Like, they're going to have to get really good vision setups, make sure that Fiddlesticks isn't seen, and be able to have ult up for every fight where they want it. So Swordblue really can't use it for picks unless it's really easy for him to just kill multiple people. And it also means that things like this dragon fight are going to come down to whether you can hit a multi-man ult. Because the Udyr has the first rotation of the dragon, there's no vision set up for them, so they should always have vision on the Fiddlesticks walking in.
Definitely so. Dragon coming up in 33 seconds. Big Twig getting caught out by Vambiant here. Getting the Ignite off of him. And charmed up from the re-engage on Big Twig. Flash Auto is going to give him the shutdown, but he's going to be going down to the bear on this one. It's a 1-for-1 trade. And losing your Corki right before a team fight Dragon starts, uh-oh, that's not good. But they do lose the Seraphine instead.
Seraphine has TP. When she's respawned, she can just TP in if the fight's still going, whereas Corki can't do anything. And I think Udyr should get this dragon pretty much for free at this point. The only major damage threat now is So Sad Sam, unless, again, the Fiddlesticks gets a crazy ult off. And Kog'Maw should have a really easy time playing the fight now.
Definitely so. Burst Limit TPing over here. He wants to be in on this action, but an engage from Soximus. No ultimate on him, but Vesper's going to get a nice hook on
Oh,
Antunes.
Vesper should
Antunes
not
going
have
to wild
gone
growth
that.
himself, and So Sad Sam's going to pull him out. The re-engage from the Nautilus is going to be able to secure Antunes for himself. Sword Blue and Burst Limit out to the side, going to take out Photograph and Karma. Vesper's fending for himself. The Callista is going to go down to the Big Twig TP. Big Twig is in a bit of trouble, though. Burst Limit is almost going to take him down, but he's able to flash out in time.
Oh
Vesper,
my
1
god, Vesper, like,
HP. Ooh, my lord, that was close for Vesper. But it's actually going to be Team A-Click looking like they're in prime position to take this
Soximus
dragon
can't
for
get to the pit.
themselves. There is no way for Soximus to go for the steal here. That's going to be a nice turn of events for Team A-Click to take this dragon for themselves. They're on the board for Drakes. They're on the board for team fights.
Yeah, Sorablu's doing a lot of work on the Fiddlesticks. They will keep the Kog'Maw from really doing much the rest of his team for that entire fight and completely zoning him out. And it really does come down to him. If he's able to continue carrying these fights, then Ace has a chance in this game. But if that's not going to happen every single team fight, then it just takes one bad team fight for them to all get killed by Kog'Maw, and it's pretty much over. So it's really a high execution threshold for Ace here, and we're going to have to see if they can pass it.
We're looking at an even bigger bloodbath.
Oh my god,
that thought. We
Vambians.
got Vambian getting caught once again. Soximus with the chem tank and
He's
the
just
rundown.
gone.
Root from the Big Twig himself is going to take him down. So that even improves my previous statement that I didn't finish. We're looking at an even bigger bloodbath than we did already at last game. At 20 minutes, we're looking at 32 kills.
It's been pretty crazy. Vambian's been having a really rough game, getting caught out left and right. And kind of what I mentioned earlier is that Udyr really shouldn't be having to contest these Ocean Drakes into no vision. I think once they conceded the position on that dragon, they should have just given it instead of trying to face check the Fiddlesticks. But I guess they felt like they were far enough ahead, they still could have won the team fight, which they could have. But again, they don't need to fight for these, right? There's no chance that Soul comes out for the next 15 minutes. So if they don't think they have a good enough vision set to reliably avoid getting multi-man Fiddlesticks ulted and being put in a position where Kog'Maw can't carry the fight, then they just can walk away and take something else on the map, push lanes. They don't need to fight.
Definitely so. Vesper, Burst Limit, and So Sad Sam pushing up the mid lane, getting some pressure over here, taking off the mid tier 1 earlier in the game. They have the mid priority, and they're actually in the top side of the map, looking to get some pressure onto Baron. Not too sure if they're going to go for it. There is pings on it, and they are going to start it. Burst Limit's going to start hitting it, and they want this.
Their turn off Baron is very potent with the Fiddlesticks ult, but if Seraphine lands an ult into the pit, then they're all going to die, and that's the scary prospect for them.
Oh,
that's not a good Fiddlesticks ult, unfortunately. I think Photograph's living long enough here, but if Big Twig gets caught instead.
He's in there, and Soximus is jumping right back in, doing half to each member, but he's going to go down himself. This is not looking too good for Udyr, as they are split up as all heck. Vambian, too greedy. He's going to get hit by Bob Jones. So the punish is there. 1 for 4 for Team Ace. They're going to get this Baron for free.
Yeah, there's some really bad positioning from Udyr there. Photograph's completely split off to the side and couldn't follow up on that multi-man Seraphine ult. If he's there when that Seraphine ult goes off, I think they're all basically dead, but he's completely zoned out. Ends up getting Nautilus ult at the very end there. And even had a chance to turn there at the very end, but he just couldn't do enough in the 1v4. Ultimately, it just, yeah, Udyr's mispositioning and misexecuting on these fights, and I feel like Fiddlesticks ult shouldn't have gotten the value it did in that fight. He only ended up really casting one person, but Udyr overcommitted into the ult before they actually just waited it out, and I think if they let the one death go over, they're fine, but Big Twig got caught on the side at the same time.
One thing I do want to mention on the side of Team A-Click, Corki this game has opted to go for a very late tier. Now, while tier isn't all too much as it used to be in terms of wanting to scale it up as early as possible, we're on track for about a 27 minimum minute tier.
Yeah, that's a little questionable. I think he might have just forgotten to buy it, or he felt like he was so far behind that he wasn't even going to be completing anytime soon, but I really can't think of a reason for this. Maybe he's never found a good buy for it, and he really wanted to rush to Sunder. That's really all I can come up with. The other thing to wait for here is Kog'Maw is probably working on PD right now, which is a pretty big spike for him. And at the same time, they already have the Runes on Callista. So I think right now the team fight from Ace is probably stronger with this Fed Fiddlesticks. But
Soximus seeing a submarine sandwich, and he's going to get the charm onto Vesper. Vesper's caught out. Too many CC abilities. He's not going to be able to get out of that one alive. Good lord, they are taking freebies left and right. We're throwing this game back just like it was in game number 1.
Yeah, Vesper and Vambian on this side having a really rough game of it, and it's all coming down to Sword Blue and to some extent So Sad Sam really trying to carry these fights, but I'm not sure they can keep doing it. If Vesper keeps getting caught out, if Vambian keeps getting caught out, then it becomes very difficult. That's really their primary way of getting onto this Kog'Maw is like Vesper ulting him and making it reliably locked down if he's not caught in the Fiddlesticks ult. But that's kind of all they got, right? Like they need to either have that or they need to get the Fiddlesticks ult onto him. And maybe Burst Limit can dive the backline, but even if he does that, it's pretty hard to actually just straight up kill Kog'Maw through all the shields and wild growth and everything else.
Dragon coming up in about 10 seconds. This is looking pretty good. This could even up the Dragons pretty easily with how Ace has been playing these team fights. Let's see if Udyr can turn it on and get that third soul point, or if A-Click can pick up this Ocean Drake for themselves as they are bursting it down with the swiftness. Volibear going to jump on over. It's going to go over to Corki. Corki is going to go ahead and secure that second drag for them. Volibear is going to force the ult out, and they're going to push this one in. Not too sure. We got a Nautilus ult, or from the Callista ult coming in. Vesper is getting some good damage on Antunes, almost going down. Soxum is going to chase him down. So Sad Sam is just laying into him, though. Vesper is going to stay alive, and So Sad Sam's going to pick that up for himself, while Karma is going to go down over on the left side of the screen. They're going to be pushing this one in, and I think Ace is in a prime position to go ahead and secure this game. They're going to start with an inhib.
Yeah, they're really far ahead now. I mean, they got all of that gold over from that fight. They were probably sitting on a decent amount because they finished the Baron and didn't reset. And this Baron push should give them inhib. I mean, honestly, this is kind of a Fiddlesticks 1v9 game. I feel like Burst Limit and like Sword Blue are basically doing everything here in terms of getting this fight zoned out for the Kog'Maw. They really just burst him in that last fight. He couldn't get in and do much damage. And the Kog'Maw here, I understand why he didn't go for Runons because it kind of stifles your damage in a certain sense, especially if you're going for something like a Phantom Dancer on 3. Having the Rage Blade is really important, but I think you do need a Runons in this game in a lot of situations if you want to fight into this comp because they're so grouped in a lot of these situations. He can't get enough damage out of all these members at the same time before he gets bursted down.
Definitely so. And speaking of the Fiddlesticks from earlier, I'd like to mention and announce proudly that he is at 25 Magi stacks.
Yeah, I mean, I said in the draft, this champion's pretty crazy right now, and I feel like a lot of teams aren't playing because it's kind of a very niche pick in a sense. It requires a very specific play style, and you have to play around it in a very particular way. But, I mean, Sorblu's doing a great job of it. I really think that he's utilizing the strengths of the pick very well, and he's been able to find ults in a lot of these team fights where I feel like he shouldn't have angles for it, but Udyr hasn't had the vision to really get onto him and make sure they know where he is at all times, and he's able to get these for free, either off the objective turns or off the setups onto the objectives. It's just so difficult now for Udyr to walk into anything. Even if they try to face check their dragon, they're just gonna die to Fiddlesticks, and they're never gonna be able to walk in for vision because at this point you're so far into the game that at any point you face check for vision, you're at a pretty high risk of just getting picked and then going for Baron.
With how much Vambiant is split pushing and how unfortunately behind he got in the early start of the game, I feel like, and how he's still over 100 stacks away from Miramana, he could have just gone a third item.
I don't know. Vambiant's doing some weird stuff this game. I think it doesn't end up mattering really just because they're so far ahead
Oh
now,
my goodness. That's a lot of speed going on under there, but a whole lot of nothing coming out of it. They're just going to be very scary and hope to spook Team A-Click away from their base. I'm not sure it's going to work.
I mean, so Ace actually does need to look to close relatively soon. If they let this game stall out too long, then you're still at risk of just getting to a point where Kog'Maw can't shred through everyone. But
Soximus getting a flank angle onto 3. It's not going to be enough. A good charm from Seraphine is going to get So Sad Sam out there, but he's not going to be enough, or he's not going to be too close for it to be able to get into that. A Fiddlesticks ulti is going to put him in prime position to get that 1,000 gold shutdown, but it doesn't matter because they got the damage behind it. Burst limit's getting a little bit low. So Sad Sam is following in that path. Going to lifesteal up over there, but it's going to be a 2-for-1 trade so far. Only Sword Blue going down, but that's 1,000 gold going to someone's pockets. Bob Jones not done here. Vesper is rooted up, but he does get the Spider-Man out of there, and So Sad Sam and Burst Limit are going to be taking the mid inhib uncontested.
yeah, I mean, so that's what Udyr really needs. They just blow up Sword Blue the moment he ults in, and he doesn't get a ton of value out of it. But even with that, and the 4-man Seraphine ult is just not enough. They're so far behind.
Vambiant wanted a flash ignite there for a quick kill onto Soximus. Soximus going to be going down, and Baron's coming up. So the jungler going down at this specific time, that is not good.
I think Soximus now, I mean, the thing is he's kind of getting outscaled, because even though he's building tank, it's just not enough, right? Mm-hmm. You have, like, I mean, I guess Fiddlesticks is going for the pen, but he has the Void Staff already at this point. Corki's already hitting the percent health damage with the Sunder, and although he's not going to scale insane, Corki's really not super concerned with getting through the volley in a lot of these fights. He's able to get a lot of the AoE damage with the rest of these targets.
And that's going to be an easy Baron for them to pick up.
Yeah, this shouldn't be contestable. I mean, the thing with once you have this far of a lead on the Fiddlesticks, and even on sort of like the Wukong and the Corki, is you can't contest objectives that have been started already as Udyr, because if you walk in, you're just going to get turned off of the objective with a Fiddlesticks ult, and you just all get blown up. So they're going to look to maybe trade for Vision and set up on the Ocean Dragon, which makes it more difficult for Fiddlesticks to set up on them. But even with all this setup, it still could be a little bit scary if Swordblue is able to find the angle.
Definitely so. 20 seconds on that Ocean Dragon. We're in the same situation as we were in last game, where either of these dragons will define the sole point. For Ocean Drake potential, for Team A-Click on their team seems pretty nice, if you ask me. We got a little bit of a setup going here in the mid lane. They're jumping up. They're jumping on a Vambian. Vambian doesn't have flash to get out of this one, but he does have the stopwatch. Stopwatch is going to be enough, though. Kog'Maw is going to get that shut down in his pocket. And they got another speed up coming into this river. With Vambian down, they're going to engage on this one. Good ulti from Big Twig is going to be enough to get them very low. So sad Sam going to pull Vesper out, jump back in on that one, but a good Fiddle ult turn that one on its head. Fiddle ult going to destroy all of Udyr, and it's Karma left to live and run away for the hills. And they're going to go for the end here. A TP into the base. Bob Jones is looking to end this one for himself. Karma going to follow on this one. We got a fight here, ladies and gentlemen. The tether is on and the root is here. Burst limit's taken very low while under tower. He's not tanking it just yet, but he has backup. So sad Sam and Vesper are here for it. And there is another Ocean Drake, and another auto is going to take him down. The 1v1 has succeeded. Bob Jones has killed the monkey, but it's not going to be enough. So sad Sam is going to take down the Nexus, get a kill while he's at it. And that's going to be game number 2, going to Team A-Click.
That's just, I mean, Udyr got a great lead in the early game in that game with a comp that should theoretically outscale. They just got caught too many times, and Fiddlesticks was allowed to get too many setups on these Dragons and on this Baron. I felt like it was still kind of Udyr's game to lose a lot of those situations, especially on that last Dragon fight. They had vision on Fiddlesticks the whole time, yet they opted to funnel into that choke for that ultimate in the last fight. So I think it might have been a little miscommunication from them in some of those fights, but ultimately Fiddlesticks is a pretty crazy champion, and I think we might see a ban for this in the next game if they want to continue playing comps that really require them to go for this team fight.
Definitely have to agree with that one, Asim. We have a nice damage chart here to look at. Despite, if you were to take the top of your screen out where it says defeat and just ask who won this game, you would be surprised to hear the answer. As So Sad Sam and Fiddlesticks and Vambian, despite the Vambian was playing the lose lane win game. Honestly, if you win, you win. So you take that one to the bank. So sad Sam and Swordblue doing so much damage in those fights. It wasn't even close. Kog'Maw couldn't even keep up with the damage despite having 3 members dedicated to his success. That's going to be game number 2, going to A-Click, being 2-0 match point in this series. Can they secure the 3-0, or is Udyr turning it on its head? We'll find out soon. Don't go anywhere. Game number 3 is coming right around the corner, and we'll see you then.